Hello once again, everybody. Welcome back to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Sockers and the Major Arena Soccer League, coming to you live, courtesy of San Diego Punto Football. Alongside Tony Sanchez, Craig Elston here with you for Season 7, Episode 4, as the San Diego Sockers put 10 on the board against the Texas Outlaws, leading to today's show title, A California 7, but a Texas 10, which is usually used in a different context, but nonetheless is what we'll call today's show. What's going on, Tony? How you doing?
Oof, surviving the cold here in San Diego. It is a frigid one. But you know what? We are here in Studio San Diego Punto Football, and the vibes are keeping us warm because it's a good week to preview some Sockers and talk about some soccer action in Texas.
Absolutely, yeah. Hey, chilly here. I had to wear my Sockers beanie this evening. You know, I don't want to be puffing out the cold breath here in the back studio at Costa de Elston, but nonetheless, we are here and we are ready to roll with you this evening. Great to be live with you once again for our fourth show of the season. On the show tonight, the Sockers make it 9 in a row. Their first truly comfortable, lopsided win of the season. We've got the recap for you, including, I think, our shortest video recap of the year. We also have an all-star on the show. Midfielder Gabriel Costa will join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Can't wait to catch up with Gabby Goal. It should be a feisty edition of MASL News. The Savage stumble on the road. Frank's back in St. Louis. And a cherished voice hangs up the mic in Ontario. We'll talk about it all in our MASL News segment. And in Soccer's News, another match preview against Tacoma as San Diego lines up a true look at the top of the table in the Major Arena Soccer League. But is it going to be an old familiar name rising up to challenge the team at the top of the table? Baltimore. Now that's a name I haven't heard in a long, long time. It's all ahead. Soccer's Overtime is underway. Thanks to everybody that's here watching, especially everyone who has joined us live on this Tuesday. Appreciate you wherever you are. Go ahead and hit that like button, the old thumbs up. Make sure you click subscribe to San Diego Punto Football to get caught up to date on everything that Tony and Chiva and Abe are doing outside of our little Tuesday get-togethers covering the entire world of San Diego soccer. And, you know, yeah, notification, thumbs up. What else do we want? Written review, something. See you in the comments. We'll do that too. All good.
Yeah, no, that's how you get a hold of us. Just anything San Diego Punto Football, we'll be here. Hey, we even have movie podcasts. You're a big part of that.
Yes, Club Deportivo.
Movie club, absolutely.
We reviewed Victory. Myself and friends, Cesar and Drew. That was a lot of fun, actually.
Actually had Soccer's Connections, which was very, very fun to find out and very interesting to watch that. And you know, if you have a couple of extra minutes and would like to hear a little bit some I guess crossing streams, crossing all kinds of crosses here in San Diego Punto Football, you can check that out in the same channel.
Oh, I'm sure Eddie Trujillo, who I see is in the chat, is one who probably has most of Victory memorized. Actually, probably has most of Victory memorized. So, you know, great movie. Well, good movie. Pretty good football in the movie, though. Yeah. Definitely a ridiculous finish. Nonetheless,
yes, the demands of how that movie was made was almost as interesting as the movie itself.
I think so. I agree with you. I agree. It's funny how the star winds up. Is the star the villain or is the villain? I don't know. Anyways, no further teasing. Go check that out, Club Deportivo. I wasn't the only one. There's been multiple episodes. Really well done. A lot of fun. Check out all the shows here at San Diego Punto Football. Of course, Two Balls and a Mic every Monday night live at 8 p.m. Your weekly catch up on everything in the world of soccer. And, hey, stay tuned. Stay tuned. There could be more weekly soccer associated programming.
I like that.
Coming soon. Coming soon. Hopefully coming sooner than later. But that's another story for another day. All right. On to the show at hand. Let's get into it. As mentioned, we got a lot of stuff to get to on the other side. Just depending on how long we really actually want to talk about the Sockers and the Texas Outlaws. We'll see. Maybe we pull in Gabby a little bit early or pull something over from MASL News before 6:30. But I got to start the show where I finished the last show, which was challenging the San Diego Sockers and saying that you would expect them to have a big, easy win going to mostly empty Mesquite Arena to face a team that is kind of just propped up. You know, there's guys who are showing up every day to practice and put their all into the team. I'm not trying to diminish their efforts, but the Texas Outlaws weren't going to be there. You know, they weren't going to even be a team this year, and they were saved by a couple of owners who wanted to keep stability in the Major Arena Soccer League, and that is Lane up in Tacoma and Phil in San Diego. And, you know, those guys really, you know, helped out. And as such, Texas is out there. But, you know, I said it. I said, you should blow them out, but I don't think you will, because I've watched every game in the history of the Sockers at Mesquite Arena, and every game has been 6-5. Every single one of them has been 6-5 in the regular season. And usually the Sockers have the 6, but sometimes they've had the 5. They've even lost their 5-3. But the one thing they've never done is go there and just light up the scoreboard the way you think they should. Well, you know, hey, put my money where my mouth was, and the money is elsewhere now. Sockers win 10-3. And absolutely cruise, Tony. Exactly what you'd want to see, what you'd expect to see, but truly what you haven't seen in a couple of years. San Diego just coming out, putting the boot down, 8-0 before you know it. You know, 7-0 at halftime, and just completely shutting out an inferior opponent.
Yeah, and it's something the Sockers have been doing all season. And it's not to say that we've necessarily held them up to a different standard. No, we're holding up to the standard of the San Diego Sockers at the end of the day. And there were a lot of questions coming out of last season that have been answered and addressed directly with the actions on the floor this season. This was one of them. Can you go and take care of business when it's needed to? And that's exactly what they did. On top of everything, it was an opportunity for them to take a step back. And the Sockers also kind of did that, but still made sure to take care of business. As you mentioned, it's the shortest highlight package for a reason. But either way, like you still have to take every match seriously. And at the end of the day, these are professionals, and there is a certain way to carry yourself in these matches. And I don't know if who watches, how many of the Sockers watch, if they are tuning in. We've heard different things, but I'm just glad it worked. If it is that your inspiration was taken from what Craig said, fantastic. Keep it going. I'll challenge you to find it elsewhere. That doesn't have to be within the confines of two little boxes here. Either way, I'm very happy that the Sockers are able to do what seemed almost to be impossible for the Sockers to do, is go down to Mesquite Arena and really do what they're supposed to. And they also did something very, very, for the first time this season, is score double digits.
Yes.
Dobles dígitos.
Actual 10 goals. Listen, I am not despite what some may believe, I am not arrogant enough to think that I had anything to do with that score. And unless someone tells me otherwise, I'll believe that no one heard a word I said, and they just went out on their own, of their own conviction, and they rolled 10 against the Texas Outlaws. And I suspect that is exactly what was the case. Or one guy heard it and no one said anything about it, or nobody gave a damn, along the way. And that's probably the way it should be.
Yeah. Craig, towards the end of the game, was probably like, wait, what was it? 9 that he said?
Yeah,
okay,
right.
let me go ahead and just stand in my spot this season, and let's make it 10 just in case. And that's exactly what they said. Susan said, yeah, we heard you. Yeah.
Can I call up underdog? Where's the over-under on this thing? Oh, my God. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay, let's roll in the highlights. I don't know. in some ways, I find this the most depressing arena in the league. You've got, just the emptiness, the white plastic boards. There's nobody there. Kind of a weak broadcast, kind of a high school level broadcast usually. And there's 1-0. Luis Morales puts it in short, past the keeper, impossible angle. This is kind of a sad real. I mean,
yeah.
What's Texas doing? Remember when Texas was just absolutely killing it against San Diego?
Oh, yeah.
When we were at that match. Look at this one. Just leaves it off the wall for Sebastian Mendez to come in and then whoop right between the legs. Oh my goodness. Thank goodness it wasn't an inch higher.
Yeah, no.
Would have been the end of Jesus Rivera.
And you start these storylines, right? Like you have to keep yourself interested in a lot of different ways, right? Like what are the storylines? Oh, Morales coming back. Oh, Mendez coming back for the first time to this arena. And I guess that they also delivered it in their own ways, but much of the same, just absolute destruction right there. Like just not being able to keep up.
Walk around. Steven Gonzalez. I don't know. I think he's looking in the stands. Was he like checking his watch? What was going on there? Like going around traffic cones. Okay. Here comes Gabi. Okay. Nobody touched that guy.
Yeah.
Never mind. How about this guy untouched on the back? There we go. That's Mendez. And Sebastian Mendez gets a quick hat trick in this game, all in the second quarter to put San Diego into a dominant position. There's the third from Keiko. Just dropped it to the middle. All of these just very routine shots. Nothing special really to see. Here's a little set piece for Craig and boom.
And again, you'd hope that these things would work, right? Against an opponent like Texas, who's really not putting much up of a fight in a lot of different ways. And it's a lot of ways to get people like that, right? You get Juancho to get himself an assist as well, and build that confidence for when you really need them to go. Boom. They're building that chemistry right there.
Yeah, you're not going to shut out opponent all the time. There, the Outlaws get one near post for 8-1. Boris plays 3 quarters in this game. Steps out for Xavier in the 4th quarter. Sockers get another set piece, a corner to start. Oh, well, how about that? Nice to see. I mean, obviously, Texas is barely moving in these clips. And of course, we're catching them at their worst for just 10 clips, 10 goals allowed, pretty much. But I'm sure there were brighter moments than these somewhere along the way. Nonetheless, this was really just a team putting in a 0 performance with little talent against a Sockers team that came to play. And as such, I don't know what you take away from it. I mean, right there, that's a goal that Xavier would like back, certainly. It's one of the worst he's ever conceded. Sockers get a power play at the end of the game. On the league box score, this was described as against 6 attackers. No, it was 5 attackers against 4, a power play. But that's a Craig Childs hat trick, all in the second half. So Mendez gets a first half hat trick. Childs gets a second half hat trick. Leo has a goal and 2 assists. 3-assist game for Charlie. Walk in the park. 10-3. And yeah, Kelsey, I've been there multiple times, and it's not great. There's basically mounds of dirt and plastic around the outside of the stands. And, if you're somebody who just walks to the stands, you don't have to deal with that too much. But if you're walking around, when the ball leaves the field of play, it just goes banging into some random corner back there where there's like a horse stall or something. There's kind of a musty, it's dark, it's musty. And really, listen, they've been around for 4 or 5 years, but there's really not a following there. There's never been like extensive marketing done. And shout out to the folks who are keeping the franchise alive. I mean that honestly. They're being given an impossible task and they're doing it. But one thing I noticed when watching the game, in addition to, their difficulty, they once had to be put to replay, Tony. I don't know if you saw this, but at the end of the first quarter, they had to be put to replay. And the broadcast descended into a house of madness as they found themselves incapable of reviewing the video, but they could continuously rewind this poor kid reading MASL liners.
Yeah. Yep.
And then it just became like 1 and then 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 overlapping liners being read by the kid at the same time. And like it just kept happening. I truly felt like I was in a fever dream.
Yeah, just nightmare. Did you imagine? How you imagine just us in that situation, or just having to go with that? I mean, obviously, I think you can outmaneuver somebody in those spaces. Pobrecito.
Oh, you froze on me, Tony. Uh-oh, am I carrying this show now?
Might
You're
be.
back.
Oh, we're back.
You're back. Okay.
Hey, the cold in IB is freezing up the pipes don't get frozen like in Chicago or Illinois or the Midwest. The Ethernet cables get frozen.
I understand. I understand. This is right when Mike Cepeda tunes in. It's right at the moment that you freeze, of course. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, listen, what are you going to do, right? The Outlaws broadcast used to be way worse when they had that guy that had no idea what was going on, but had all the opinions in the world.
Mhm.
They had 2 kids. They both sounded like they were maybe in college or younger, honestly, but I'm not sure. They were doing a kind of weird tandem alternating play-by-play, which I found entertaining in its inventiveness, at least. Like I've never really heard that. Like one guy would finish the other's goal call, which was interesting. But nonetheless, they're doing whatever they can. I think they had like a 1 or 2 camera setup. And, that's the reason why all of Empire's games and all of our games are on Golazo. It's because there's some broadcasts that you can't feature right now in the Major Arena Soccer League. Nonetheless, look at that. Tony's frozen again. Frozen Ethernet. Frozen man. Frozen boy. But that was the situation for the Sockers. Am I now descending into madness? Now there are 2 Tonys. Now there's 1 again.
Yeah, no. Whenever something's brought up around the league, I've noticed in terms of technology-wise, something seems to happen, and I don't know. Like it's pretty easy to find me. This is currently, unless told otherwise, the most southwesternly podcast, sports podcast in the nation.
That's true.
So
how could they beat you? They'd have to go down the street.
They'd have to go down the street. There could be a more westernly, but a southwestern. Like I've actually looked in this area, so we can also scout another outdoor team into Tijuana. The signal goes over there.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Well, enough about the poor Outlaws. I think we're done with them for the year now, and good. And I hope. I agree with you, Easy Money. The league's as good as your worst team. In some ways, that's true. And this league has had something akin to a winless team almost every year. Maybe a 2-win team or a 3-win team along the way. And sometimes that's just going to happen in the distribution of results. It's just the nature of it, especially when you have really good teams. Usually something polar will happen in a standings table. But, for the folks in the Outlaws franchise, I wish them the best going forward. And by the best, I mean, win a game this year. Figure something out. Win a game this year.
They showed something here at Front Wave Arena. There was fight, there was talent, there was a team aspect to the Outlaws that I don't think San Diego was necessarily prepared for. And if that's what you're going to go ahead and have to do is play possum for every single game, and you go ahead and just save it for an upcoming matchup that you can get yourself a victory, then do that, right? But they have something. I don't know what that something is, but it's there.
Well, while we're waiting for Gabby goal, Tony, let's pull up the MASL standings and show what's going on now, because the Sockers started off dropping a 1-goal decision in Tacoma. Then they had all those close games, low-scoring games at home in that 4-match homestand that opened up the season, including the truly, gift win against Utica, that Shane Butler's game that was given to San Diego. And now all of a sudden, looky here. You've got 2 teams at 10 games and 26 points. Baltimore and San Diego. Identically, both taking advantage of early home versus road split, both with early losses, both on long winning streaks. Chihuahua still holds that number one position because they've got 28 points, but they dropped 4 of 6 points on their Midwest road trip. They lost all 3 in Kansas City, and then today they dropped a point, winning in overtime in Milwaukee. So now at 28 points, 2 ahead of San Diego, but with the Sockers holding 2 matches in hand, San Diego can think of themselves as effectively ahead. And even by 4 points, if they take care of their business, they could see themselves 4 points ahead of Chihuahua. And maybe even more importantly, Tony, if Baltimore can keep rolling and stay in a top 2 position in the standings table, that would take away what we talked about last week, which was the possibility that despite having the quarters and semis single game at Front Wave Arena, that San Diego might just wind up facing Chihuahua in a home 3-game series and see Corner Sport Arena in the finals, which is what they were so desperately trying to avoid with this playoff setup. Well, if Chihuahua kicks down to 3rd or below, it puts them in range for San Diego to play at Front Wave Arena.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting just outlook with that of how much gamesmanship do you really put into this. And look, I don't want to, it's not necessarily bad mouthing at all, but like, I don't want to put it past Chihuahua to also have just that strategic outlook of like, how can we best make this situation to our advantage? And just having the setup this way of having to play the playoffs in Front Wave Arena does take that element away. And will they figure out just to be consistent on a bigger floor than they are used to at Corner Sport Arena? That's left to be seen. They have been successful in getting a victory, as you mentioned today, overtime victory in Milwaukee. But those questions are being asked. They've lost to Tacoma, who have not looked good since the match that they since Tacoma beat Chihuahua. And again, here at Front Wave Arena, it seemed like it was something to consider. Also, looking at Reynoso and his involvement as well, just what exactly that is going to look like down and later in the season too. If that's somebody who they're going to save, and they just know that at any point they can deploy him, a healthy version of him, and just be ready. That he's nothing is being put past Chihuahua in my mind. That there's some mind games or just some trickery that they're trying to pull as well. Not necessarily playing possum as either, but look, the Sockers were in first place for a couple of seconds there. It was nice to see, and they can do it a little bit more consistently if they can. Again, if they get themselves taken care of, and they've been doing very well in that exact thing. They've been taking care of business for the Sockers, not looking elsewhere, not score watching anywhere else. Just beat me. You have your task at hand. Go ahead and take care of that, and you can go ahead and do wonders if you focus on yourself.
I'll say one other thing about the standings again, and we're awaiting midfielder Gabriel Costa at the bottom of the hour. But we said this last week. It's not going to change, in my opinion, Tony. I don't think it can change, maybe with an outside of a shred of one possibility. But this is really a 7-team, then 5-team table. There are 7 teams that are playing at a solid level, and give Empire credit for being up there 6th. Keep in mind they've played in some cases 4 more matches than the teams right around them in the standings. So while they sit 6th, they're more of an effective 7th right now if you look at it that way with matches in hand. But you get below that in the table: Dallas, St. Louis, Harrisburg, Tacoma, Texas. One of these teams is going to make the playoffs. And as such, even though normally finishing first is such an important advantage, first off, you win the Shield. Second off, and that's the most important thing, winning the Supporters Shield. Second off, you have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. You're going to host the grand final if you get there. Okay, all that's true. But this year, if Chihuahua wins the Shield, They don't host the quarters. They don't host the semis. Same for any other team not named San Diego. So the additional hope here is that you finish first and then you get that first round matchup against one of these 5 teams that are just a separate class below what you have 1 through 7. Imagine finishing second in a world where the standings finish the same way right here, which I doubt would be exactly the same, right? But imagine if finishing first, your prize is the Sidekicks on the road. Take a look at that 0-8 over there for their away record. But you finish second place, and your prize is Kelvin Oliveira.
Yeah.
And Utica City. And them in your arena, sure, but we've already seen their ability to beat you in your arena. So that's about as stark a separation as you could imagine. Now, does Empire kick down maybe to 7th, and and it winds up being second place gets Empire? Okay, I could see how that could be the case. But point being, first should be a very nice, tasty prize in the first round when it's one game, single elimination. It's important who you play because randomness is in play anytime you hold it down to one match. So let's find out. Okay, our special guest is standing by. Can't wait to chat with him. The man we call Gabriel, the all-star out of Brazil in his second year for San Diego, third in the MASL, the 2022-23 MASL Newcomer of the Year, Gabriel Costa. Welcome back to Soccer's Overtime, my friend.
Hey, guys. Hope you guys doing well. Thanks for inviting me. Always a pleasure.
The pleasure is ours. It is so great to see you, buddy. And thank you for spending some time with the fans. Everyone's gathered here again on a Tuesday night together to talk some soccer. So it's great to have you along for the ride.
Nice.
All right, let's get into it. Texas, Saturday, business trip, light work, 7-0, 8-0, early third quarter. What were your impressions? This hasn't been a place that San Diego has walked out of with easy results before.
Yeah, I mean, we did take their best players, so I think it was a little bit easier than the past couple of years. But yeah, we played well, and we were 7-0 in the first 2 quarters, so it was easier than we thought. But it just shows how good we can be when we're on the same page. So it went well.
No, exactly. And speaking on the same page, the soccer's offense is starting to click in different places and really look like something special is brewing. What do you think's changed with this soccer's this year?
Yeah, I think 2 years ago I came in, Drew came in, some new players, and now we have 2 special players, that they known in the league, and there's other players coming in too. I just think it takes a little bit, it might take half a season, might take less games for some, more games for the other ones, but I think it's just with time we're gonna click together, and hopefully by playoffs we're all like 100% and ready to win the whole thing.
Well, Gabby, you talk about, the kids that you brought over from Outlaws this season, and it's kind of funny in that Luis Morales started like a Roman candle, just shoots off 7 goals in 3 matches. Now he's cooled off a bit after going out to King's Cup. But here's Mendez, who in the first 5 matches just seemed to be a little bit out of step, almost, like a dance routine where one person doesn't know all of the beats quite yet. And then all of a sudden, here he goes. I think it's now multiple points in 5 straight matches, hat trick in the first half on Saturday. What's it been like integrating a kid like Sebastian Mendez into the lineup?
Yeah, I think, and I went through that too. I came from a team at Empire that was, maybe the main player, the main 2 players that were attacking. And you come to San Diego Soccer, there's so many good players that all of a sudden it's not a, one-way person that's attacking. So I think them coming from Outlaws, it's different. They were, on set pieces, on power play, everything went through them. And coming to a team where, we don't need one player. There's so many other players that can do the job. I think it takes a little bit to, to adjust. So some get quicker, and Morales was going crazy the first couple of games, and then and also we had a lot of injuries. I think we've been struggling with injuries every game there's somebody going down. So I think Mendez finally getting his confidence, and once you score the first game, it's almost like you take that weight off your shoulders, and all of a sudden you become the player that you used to be. I think that happened to him a little bit, but it's everybody's just happy to see that he's the player that we know he could be. And in the beginning, it was just adjusting time. It's normal.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about the adjustment time, whether it's you, whether it's Drew, whether it's Mendez, whether it's Morales, everybody's having their first time at Front Wave Arena. So, what is it
Yeah.
like being able to open up this arena and the floor up in Oceanside?
Yeah, it's great. Think we all been waiting. The other players that have been here for longer, more than I was, obviously, but we all been waiting. Very exciting to play in our own arena and just a new arena in general. But yeah, it's different field a little bit. It's a little bit bigger. Turf is not the best right now. We haven't had the new turf coming in, so that's another thing that we have to adjust. But like you said, all the players are playing together for the first time in a new arena for the first time, and we did win every single game there. So it shows that something's working pretty well.
All right, follow-up question here. I know that new turf is coming in. I hope it's there Sunday. I don't know if it is or not. I believe that when it comes in, the nets will come up as well behind the goals, and that will end your opportunity to blast balls off the ribbon board or off the giant scoreboards on high shots. I'm just curious as to, like, have you guys talked about this? Is Phil trying to fine you for breaking his scoreboards? Or is it a game of sorts? Like, tell me about firing the ball off the ribbon boards.
That's funny because I think the past 2 games I hit one of those in warm up, and he already looked at me like, no. But it's funny. It's a joke, and I mean, I actually don't know if the Nats are gonna come in or if there won't be any. I have no idea. I'm not sure if the turf will be there for Sunday either. That's something that Phil will probably be able to answer. But yeah, it is funny because every game somebody's hitting the boards during warm up and during the game, so it's just a matter of who it is this time.
Trust me, dude. Every break, like, usually when the shot is high, you just go, and that shot's high. Now I'm like, I gotta follow it because it might be in the cantina,
Yeah.
or it might be off the ribbon board.
And it'll hit the boards, and it'll go to some of the kids' heads sometime, and we all like, oh my gosh, like we're all scared to hit somebody and hurt somebody. But I think it will probably, then I'm assuming the net will come soon. So.
Yeah, well, it's just making sure to keep your head over the ball and, keep that weight forward and keep it low down. All right, let's switch over to recent results because I think we were just kind of talking about it when we went through the standings. How, the season starts, as you mentioned, coming back from injuries, a little bit slow, a lot of close games, kind of low scoring. And then all of a sudden you look up and this team's on a 9-match winning streak. And within that, you beat Chihuahua and you beat Kansas City, the two teams that were the MASL finalists last year. What do those results do, if anything, within the room in terms of confidence and a belief that the Sockers are on their way?
Yeah, I think those games are massive for confidence, especially Chihuahua, because for the past however many years, maybe 4 years, it's the team that have been going head to head with the Sockers. So just winning that game was massive in the locker room. Before the game was a different environment. We always take that game more not more seriously, but there's more at stake when you're playing them, and there's a reason why they beat us twice in a row. So that game felt great, and going to Kansas City after, I think they got the worst for them because we were at our best. We were very confident coming from a Chihuahua win that they weren't beaten, and we weren't because we lost the first game of the season. So I think Chihuahua saw a very good side of us, and ever since we've been going on a streak, like you said, that I don't think it's gonna end anytime soon.
I love that, and I love that confidence that's really building up. But as any great team, right? Like, there's always another gear. There's always something else. What's the next step for the San Diego Sockers team, and what would you like to see the team improve overall?
To be honest, we've been doing pretty well with defense. I think every game has been very low scoring. We really wanted to keep the Texas on 0, but unfortunately we weren't able to. But I think little by little, it's like every game there's one player that stands out, and then the next game is another player that stands out. If you look at other teams, it's usually the same player or two. They have 1 or 2 players that are there every single game, and here you don't know. I don't know. There's like 7 of us that it could be any one of us, and all of a sudden you can have a 4-point, 5-point, hat trick from many players. So I don't think there's necessarily like, as a team, we've been doing very well lately. That's the truth. And I just hope it keeps going that way. Everybody's confident in the back, goalie, forwards. Everybody's just confident right now. So I wouldn't be able to tell you what we need. I just think that we're going to keep winning, and we'll see how, the next games come up.
Great answer, Gabby. Now, you've got a big time honor, an opportunity to be a part of the first true in-season Major Arena Soccer League All-Star game. They had one that they called an All-Star game, in advance of the COVID season. It was kind of a preseason contest just to get everyone's legs that hadn't been playing for the longest time. But this is one that involved player votes, coach votes, fan votes, commissioner picks, a city host, a team draft, all of it. So it does feel like, more of a major league event. What does it mean to you to have been selected as one and voted in by peers and coaches as one of those first 24 All-Stars and to be heading out to Utica in the second week of February?
Yeah, I was very proud to be, nominated one of those best players in the league. Obviously, a lot of people were missed, but you can't. It's always how it is. You can't take everybody. But unfortunately, this year, it's a very tricky one for us because we play in Chihuahua 2 days later. Oh. So I think the MSL All-Star should probably be in a weekend when nobody plays. So I'm not sure, to be honest, if we're going to be able to make it because I don't know if there's going to be flights, and we have a very tough weekend because we would play, let's say we go Wednesday and play in All-Star. Then we have to fly the next day and see if we can make it at Chihuahua in Mexico, and then fly the next day and play Chihuahua at home. So it's not easy. So I'm not sure if we're going to make it, how the club is going to do about it, who's going to go, who can't go. But either way, I was very happy to be nominated. I think it's from the last season, mostly, especially being all the All-Star were all chosen in the beginning of the season. And you can't really see who are the best with 4 games in the season. So I think it was from last season. So I'm just happy that I was nominated one of the best.
Well, that is great information, Gabby. Like, if you're not on the inside, a guy like yourself, you might just think, oh, well, of course everyone's going to go to the All-Star game. But then conversely, if you think about the idea of being in Utica, upstate New York, and trying to get from there to Chihuahua in Mexico, and then to, of course, have a back-to-back. Wow, what a weekend that's going to be for you guys to play home, away, Chihuahua.
Actually, we have a back-to-back. We have St. Louis, Kansas City the weekend before. So it's like we go to we play St. Louis, Kansas City the next day on I think Sunday maybe. Then we have flight to California. Then Tuesday flight to Utica. Then Thursday flight to Chihuahua. Saturday flight back. 4 or 5 games. So yeah, it's crazy.
I can see you sending your regrets right now. Don't worry. I'm sure there's some Harrisburg or Utica players that are available. To step in and take the role. Good stuff. Good stuff there, Gabby. And go ahead, Tony. Sorry.
Cuídate, hermano, because man, that's brutal right there. But you do have a game coming up here against the Tacoma Stars, a team that loves to play you guys hard. What kind of preparation is going into this next matchup for against Oma?
Yeah, it's funny because I think they had 4 main players out, or one of the main players. So, and I don't think I've ever played Tacoma without Nick or without Chris or without Cox. I don't think I've ever played a game without them, and I think they are really missing out their players. They're struggling obviously this season, but it's Tacoma. They always give us a good game. It's always very tight, so you can never really count them out. And I'm just hoping a good game and another win in front of our fans.
Love it, Gabriel. Well, thank you so much. We always appreciate it when one of you guys can come on the program and take some time for our soccer fans, our soccer season ticket members, everybody, really MASL fans around the country who tune into the show on Tuesday nights. So give all of our best, please, from the show to the boys. Look forward to seeing you out there warming up on Sunday and for calling your match against the Stars. And best of luck, best of health the rest of the way.
Thank you guys so much. Always, whenever you guys call, I'll be here. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys soon.
Appreciate you, Gabby Costa.
Bye-bye.
Gabby
Oh, no.
goal. All right,
Love that.
there he
Well,
goes. Appreciate him.
there we go. I love his attitude towards the game, where it's not necessarily robotic, like we must have the prep. Like, no, there's real just weighing of like, this is my outlook, this is why it's an honor. Like, just the way he processes the game entirely and on and off the field. Like, that's somebody who really enjoys what he does, and it's good to see his side of things in a lot of these aspects. So thank you again, Gabriel, for coming on.
Absolutely. Always look forward to bringing those guys to you on the show as well, and always look forward to the conversations. It's so cool to talk to players in the MASL, people who are humble, who are grounded, have 2 feet on the ground, and it's really just, it's a privilege. So thank you, Gabby. All right, on to MASL news. And we already kicked through the first part of this while we were waiting for Costa. So we've talked about the standings. Baltimore rising up. I mean, pretty impressive to see where the Blast are. And the one guy that we need to highlight there is Chad Porch. He was the game-winning goal scorer, the $1 million goal scorer at TST this summer, and continues the transition, the now pipeline from the soccer tournament into the MASL. And how about that? A defender with 11 goals, 17 points in 9 games played. Now, I'm not sure if he is mislisted as a defender. He's also got only 5,001 blocks, so I'm not sure how much defending he's doing. He might just be a midfielder or a forward that is listed as a defender on the MASL website. Wouldn't be the first time that's happened. Gabby's listed as a forward, and he is most certainly not a forward
Midfielder
for the San Diego Sockers. So, but yeah, Chad Porch, really impressive. 3 game-winning goals already, taking to the short field, but stepping in and giving Baltimore a level that they haven't had in quite some time.
And you think of last year again, right? Like these 2 seasons are mirroring each other in a lot of different ways and have stark differences. But I remember there was even a bet where you were going to have a jersey from Baltimore potentially on at some point here. But they had a really good start and a really good season that really impressed a lot of people. So to continue on that is credit to what's happening over in Baltimore. And especially now with goalkeepers unable to throw the ball for a goal, that's out of the element now. So you can't say, well, it's a smaller arena. It's still a small arena, but that's out of the question for right now. Something that they utilized heavily.
Yes, absolutely. And if Baltimore has an easy schedule, Baltimore has an easy path to a top 1 to 3 finish in the MASL, but it is going to be crowded and crazy within the top 6. I think if Utica gets on the kind of roll, I think they might. If Oliveira is putting up, what really probably should have been a 6.9, but like 5-goal games like he did on a more regular basis, they're going to win a lot of matches, and they're going to be a tough team to deal with. But I mean, you look at the middle class in that playoff table, Milwaukee, Kansas City is sitting 5th. Kansas City had, to me, the win of the year in the way they beat Chihuahua with a crowd of over 5,000 over the weekend. Great broadcast on CBS Sports Golazo Network. Shout out as always, Nick and Eric. They do a great job, but they had all the stops pulled out. 5-2 final. That one surprised me as well. I had the over on goals for Chihuahua in that one, which was 3.5. Figured Chihuahua would at least get 4 goals on the road. But they were held to 2. Ejimadu was terrific. Vandegrift was amazing in that game. He was blocking everything. He scored a pair of goals coming out of the back. It's pretty impressive to see what Kansas City was able to do at home. Now, you take him off the home field, you put him into that playoff bracket at Front Wave Arena, and one of their biggest, most important advantages is no longer there. But Kansas City, impressive win. And for the Savage, hey, now just 2-2 away from home.
Yeah. And again, it's a matter of them also adjusting throughout the season, because all these away matches can potentially prepare them for what they're going to eventually see at Front Wave Arena. They need to practice and get better at a larger floor. And if that happens throughout the season, where when it's go time, they cut all the errors out, they adjusted, they made the room either on the way that they attacked, the way that they're positioning, the really honing the large platform that anywhere other than Corner Sport Arena presents. If that challenge is met, then you can say, well, watch out. But up until right now, I'm not convinced by Chihuahua being able to handle an elite team on a bigger floor.
I have to agree with you. And I mean, maybe they've gotten, 2 years older on aggregate over the course of these two championships. Maybe, 34-year-old Escalante was a quarter step faster than a 36-year-old Escalante is. It can be little things like that for a team that's largely been the same over the course of 4 years, really. But yeah, interesting and still to be seen, because that's also a team that's generally improved as the year goes along. So something to consider. Quickly, I'm going to Gabe in the chat asked, have we gone over the playoff schedule? And it's actually pretty straightforward. So let me just throw this and kind of put the seed in your mind going forward, right? Top 8 teams obviously make the playoffs. Playoffs are going to be April 4th, 5th, and 6th at Front Wave Arena. And they've already announced how it's going to sort out. The top 2 seeds, they will play their quarterfinals on the 4th. So one further advantage of finishing first or second is you would have theoretically a day's rest between your quarterfinal and your semifinal, as opposed to playing back-to-back. So it'll be the 1v8 and the 2v7 on the 4th. Yes. On the 5th, it'll be the 3v6 and the 4v5. And then you'll have the winners play on the 6th in the semifinals.
Ideal for who? I mean, sure, that's always a point that people are going to want to just nitpick at the end of the day, but this is what it is. Everybody has the exact same chance to prepare. Whether another team prepares better to face a potential San Diego who may have that home field advantage, guess what? That is the rule that you play with in the MASL this season. Everybody is now aware of this. Everybody can prepare mentally, whatever they need to do once they get to the eventuality where in playoffs, anything is possible. Anything can happen. And so just like everybody else, the Sockers better also be prepared to welcome everybody to their home.
Yeah. And the way that the standings have been so jumbled so far, you obviously expect to see a measure of separation. We're close to the halfway point right now, but once you get to 24 games for everyone, you would expect to see some measure of separation. Nonetheless, the difference between first and third could be a point, 2 points, and that it could be the difference between facing a Utica in the first round and having to play back-to-back, or facing a Dallas in the first round and getting to play with a day's rest in between for an aging veteran team. So I think that at least, if nothing else, it puts a layer of intrigue over the end of the season for San Diego as they go through a very tough portion of their schedule. On one level, it doesn't really matter that much if they finish 7th, because they're going to still get to host a quarterfinal and semifinal game on their home floor. But the idea of finishing first or second does have merit, and first has a special merit given the way the table has sorted, with kind of a dark dotted black line between 7 and 8 right now. Okay, with that, on to some other news around the league. We mentioned last week Frank Tayu being suspended in St. Louis. I had a message in a bottle out to Frank at the time, just wished him well. Did get the chance to chat with Frank later in the week. He's fine. He's doing okay. I won't divulge any secrets or anything that was told to me in terms of what's been going on. I would just say that I would describe this one as fairly routine and unremarkable. Nothing like some of the drama we've seen around the MASL.
Oh boy.
Or rumors we've heard about things in the MASL, or things we may know and not be able to say in the MASL. This one is more of a very classic player coach dispute, and sore feelings and restitution, or is there? And then the next thing you know, Frank's back in the lineup this weekend, and all of a sudden, I was watching this match, Tony. I might have had a reason to watch the match, but I was watching the match, and St. Louis was being handled by the Harrisburg Heat, another team that's a little bit of a tough watch. If Texas is a tough watch, I think Harrisburg is the next toughest watch for the Farm Arena, and it's always kind of just like a bleached out look. It always looks kind of cold and like, would I want to be there? But nonetheless, Harrisburg was in control, 4-1, with like a quarter to play, 4-2 with 2 minutes to play. 4-2 Harrisburg with 2 minutes to play. And St. Louis goes to 6 attackers, and they move the ball around and they find a shot and they find a goal. And it's 4-2. And there's like a minute or less than a minute left in the match. And Harrisburg puts the ball back in play and kicks it down into the St. Louis zone. And then somehow, inexplicably, they go into something akin to a high pressure position, defensive formation. I'm looking up and I'm seeing like 4 Harrisburg players in the attacking third in the final minute, and going, wait a second, what? And St. Louis plays a long ball out to Duduka, and he's all alone. Just cover 0 in a 1-goal match. And Duduka runs in and ties the game, scores on Silva. Hugo Silva ties the game. And then, okay, we're going to go to overtime. There's like, I don't know, 30 seconds left or something. We're going to go to overtime. St. Louis gets the ball back. Again, Harrisburg is just clueless defensive. There goes Duduka. Goal. Behind the defense completely behind the defense. It was hilarious. So minute 18 left there, right? I'm like, okay, well, this game's going to overtime. Harrisburg gets to top of the arc with like seconds left. Blows it. Completely blows it. The ball goes down the other side. It gets to a player, I forget, on the wing. He shoots. Frank traps the ball with outside of his foot, just tips it to the middle. St. Louis scores with 1 second left. Like 1.9 seconds left. And they win the game. Here it comes. Frank coming in. 5 seconds. Blocked. Right to Almeida. Goal. 1.6 seconds left. Unbelievable. So welcome back, Frank. He did get the assist on the game-winning goal.
Yeah.
5-4. That was one of 2 insane games. The Utica Riggies. You saw the highs and lows of Rigatoni over the weekend. As first, it was just heaping servings of Oliveira. Rigatoni with Oliveira was on the menu with 5 goals, and they gave him 3 assists too. Although some forensic work by the great Eddie Trujillo on MSL Off the Wall indicated that 2 of those assists were completely erroneously given. They're just like, here you go. Would you like an 8-point game? Wow. Nonetheless, but then the Steinwasser brothers combined to score literally at the buzzer in the next game. They played back-to-back games on the 25th and 26th, and on the 26th, the Steinwasser brothers combined on a goal at 15 minutes is what it says on the official scoreboard. So at the latest goal you can score. And it was I don't know if I remember right, I think it was scored across the field on a pressure goal. I'm sure Kelsey would know, but because it was her team. But incredible, just incredible stuff.
Right. Here,
Here we go.
play that.
Here we go. 5-5. Yep, I was right. Look at this. Coughlin's up. Oh no. Coughlin's up and bang. 0.4 seconds. Oh, Coughlin. It's almost like how everyone goes for it in fourth down in the NFL now. Every keeper comes up now.
Yeah.
Like everyone's just like up. I'm going to bring my keeper up. Maybe you shouldn't bring your keeper up sometimes.
Unless you're Orozco, who scored an absolute banger
he
for
did.
Empire.
Yeah,
like,
he did.
Absolute banger. So
yeah,
look, if it works out, sure. But if it doesn't, well, that's what you get. That right there.
That's what you get. That's what you get. 14:59 that time ago. Wow. 14:59.4. Pretty rough. Okay, last thing on MSL news. This is uncomfortable. Holy cow. Did you see over the weekend the social media post from our beloved doctor up in Empire, Jonathan Reimer, announcing that he was resigning his position as the analyst, and the cohort to Philly and Panda on Empire Strikers broadcasts. And, as always, Jonathan, cordial and classy, and doing it all, the right way and thanking the right people. I reached out to Jonathan just obviously to try and figure out what's going on, see if he was okay. And he's going to keep private what he needs to. And I 100% support that. And in fact, think that a lot of people say a lot too much these days about stuff they don't have to talk about anyway. But what I do have to say is that if you've lost Jonathan Reimer, you've lost your way. Period. So whatever's going on up in Empire, and I've seen behind that curtain more than once, but I don't know what's going on this year. I'm not up there. But whatever's going on at Empire, if you've lost John Reimer, you've lost your way. And it ain't on him. And I don't care what it is. It ain't on him. I'll tell you that right now. It ain't on him. If something comes up that gets him to walk away from something he loves as much as announcing MASL and the amount of work he does. I saw him this summer, Tony, at Frank's King's Cup tournament in Upland. I mean, Jonathan was there like 19 hours a day, back-to-back days. Like just a ridiculous amount of time. And to see what volunteer time to just what he pours out in terms of his passion and what he's done to help elevate the brand up there at Ontario and the Toyota Arena crew. It's really a real bummer. And if it was something like, hey, I just got a job somewhere else, or I've got a new commitment, I'm the president of one of the supporters union things up there for LAFC, and I don't have time to do it anymore. If it was anything like that, it would just be like, hey, tip of the cap to one of the best, one of the classiest, see you down the road. But the fact that he resigned and he felt the need to separate from the brand, man, not good. Great for you though, John. Boss move by the doctor to just stand up and walk away, and whatever it is, not to take it, but to walk out with your head high. That's the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it. So all the best to Jonathan Reimer, and WTF to the place that's not a place.
Yeah, no, I mean the league itself is not as good as it could potentially be with people who love the sport. And if there's one thing that people have welcomed me as almost an outsider to this MASL. I mean, Fútbol Rápido has been in my blood my whole life, but that's somebody who I can instantly recognize. This guy gets it. And since I met him the first day, he gets it. And not only does he gets it, he wants to move it forward, and he absolutely knows his stuff. And that that's a huge loss, not just for Empire, but just the league in general. You need those ambassadors. You need those people who love indoor soccer, and that's one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. All the best to Jonathan Reimer. Hope to catch him down the road. I'm sure we will. However, he'll be wearing enemy colors once again. Can never be on the same side with Reimer. As much as I love, admire, and respect the man, he's a Dodger fan. And of course, he's an LAFC supporter. You know, he's a member of the 3252, and a big time one. You know, he's a big time member of the LAFC supporters group. So he'll be up in the corner at Snapdragon Stadium for LAFC away matches, whereas our band will be down there on the north side. Nuestra Banda, right? They will be down there. So, yeah, all the best to the Doc.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we see him here, and not just the corner. I anticipate LAFC having a whole side just preview at Snapdragon Stadium.
Yeah,
that's a discussion for a different podcast, different day.
Fair. Yeah. What did Philly always use? He has a PhD in personality. Oh, it was great. Like, why are you the doctor? Well, I've got a PhD in personality. That's amazing. It's actually quite clever and funny. I like that. All right, there's MASL news. Soccer's news. There's not a lot of soccer's news. They did announce the Front Wave Arena golf tournament. It has been announced for March 24th. It will be at a new site. Previously, they've been associated with Mount Woodson. Now they are moving on up to the Havens Country Club, formerly known as Vista Village Country Club, and it is in Vista, California. So taking it up to the North County, March 24th, 11 a.m., shotgun start. All the kind of classics, if you've ever been to a soccer's golf tournament, the Calafino Bloody Maria bar, the challenges, the whole activations. They always do actually a really good job. I've gone to a lot of golf tournaments. The Soccers have always done a good job. Obviously, the Clippers will be represented in some way, in some form there. They have raised the prices. I think going to the Havens means that the prices go to the heavens. So it's $1,000 for a foursome, and I think $550 for a twosome. I don't know if maybe Soccer's season ticket members or people who ask real nice can get a discount. But if you're interested, and if you're a golfer, and if you want to help support the Front Wave Foundation, you can sign up for the Front Wave Arena Charity Golf Classic at the Havens Country Club, March 24th at 11 a.m. Susan asked for some injury updates. Don't really have any news for you on a Tuesday before a Sunday game, Susan. It is kind of interesting. You know, you look at that lineup, and on one level, the Soccers put like their most shorthanded lineup of the year out there on Saturday at Texas. Eddie Velez played for the first time in 3 years. And I was like, wow, what's Eddie doing out there? Like, who's not there? But when you look at who's been out, it's kind of funny. It's like offensively, they haven't really lost anyone that's a key part of their attack. Like, the attack has been largely intact after Morales came back from the Kings Leagues Cup. Am I saying that right?
It was the Kings World Cup. The Kings League World Cup.
Kings League World Cup. Thank you. But the guys who are out are in the back. Pee-wee, Serta, Raymond, Bond is a defensive runner. Felipe, a guy who was playing out of the back. I mean, really, Pee-wee, Serta, Felipe, Raymond, that could be, in some worlds, 4 of the 5 starting defenders for San Diego. Probably in a playoff lineup, those are 4 of your 5 playoff defenders, with Cardenas, being the other. So San Diego's, injuries are in the back right now, and the defense is held firm nonetheless. All the credit to the way that San Diego has been progressing. The last we heard on Pee-wee was maybe this week. Felipe, I think, is still longer. I haven't heard of him being back at training yet. So all in good time. There's a lot of big games coming up. As Gabby said, there's a trip the first weekend of February out to Kansas City on a Friday, St. Louis on a Saturday. And then after the All-Star game, it's the 14th and the 16th, which is a Friday, Sunday. It's also when SDFC is having their fan fest at Snapdragon on that Sunday. So that's a little conflict right there, isn't it, my friend?
Yeah.
As the Sockers will take on the Chihuahua Savage that night in a pretty important match. So, yeah, that's the schedule ahead. You know, the less said about Sunday, the better. If Tacoma's missing all their stars, it's going to be a write your score game if Chris isn't there. But if those guys are back, then it'll be another Tacoma match. You know, if it's. But the thing is, the Stars have just had a really, really disappointing year. And unless they've got some sort of finishing kick to them, they're going to finish out of the playoffs, which is surprising. Because if you just look at on paper at the caliber of the 5 teams in that bottom 5, Tacoma should be, in my opinion, the best of them by a mile. Like nobody else in that group has a keeper like Toth, a forward like Pereira, a midfielder like Juice, a defender like Mijatovic, who will eventually be back from suspension, but I don't think on Sunday. When Toth and Nick are gone, it's always for beach soccer. That's what I assume is going on right now. That's usually when those 2 cats are gone. It's the only time you'll ever see Birueta out there on the floor. But either way, San Diego has no excuses. The team's on a roll. As Gabby said, they're clicking. A lot of different guys are turning up every game. Showing up, different faces showing up. So I could see this being a Morales match just because the last few haven't been. I could see it being a Tavoy match because Saturday wasn't. And if Chris isn't there, San Diego should put up double digits again and maybe have their highest scoring match at Front Wave Arena. And that's how I look at it. And, maybe not. Maybe they'll play another. It's 5-5 in the 4th. And we're looking at each other going, what the hell are we doing? But, after last week, I'm going to put my chip on you against San Diego. I hope that's not the kiss of death. But after a convincing win over a struggling team, I'd like to see another convincing win over another struggling team this week, and to see San Diego take care of the easy part of their schedule as they head into the hard part of their schedule and get up to 10-1, Tony.
Yeah, exactly. Like, take care of business. You're on the right path. There's not much room of improvement that a lot of people can take, especially after scoring 10. But again, you look at this schedule coming up, and it's not the most difficult, but just make sure that you finish strong, because there is, as we were mentioning, those matches that are just circle them up, because that's going to be some traveled legs for the San Diego Sockers.
Kansas City, Chihuahua, Milwaukee, all in a 5-game stretch in 15 days.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah, and you got an ambush match in there too. And I mean, for St. Louis, that's an important match for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the kind of trip-up game that you have as you go play this, Cable Dahmer Arena will have 5,000 people in it. It'll be packed. If the Comets play the way they play at home, maybe San Diego just took a stinging loss, and then you're in a van and, you're headed down the 70 and you're going to St. Louis, and the Ambush are just like, we don't care. Frank wants to put a goal in on you, So, that's a trappy game as well. So take care of what you've got. I mean, you see that piece that you had, and there's Tacoma on the top, Tacoma on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's the bread, the meat in the sandwich is pretty, tough to get through. So you got to take care of the bread. Tacoma, sorry, you're the bread. That's the way it went. That's the way it went. I think that's it, Bunny. That's it for today's edition of Soccer's Overtime. A California 7, but a Texas 10.
Love that. No, it's really time to enjoy what's in front of us. The Sockers could be struggling a little bit more, but I think now it's a good stride that they're hitting in, and hopefully we can all be surprised with some blue turf and nets this Sunday.
Could you imagine?
I'd love that.
I'll only be slightly disappointed if the Nets go up. I'll be very happy. I mean, on many, many deep-seated soul levels, I will be very happy. But on a very small, diabolical, whimsical level, I will be disappointed. All right, Tony. We thank San Diego Punto Football for hosting Soccer's Overtime. We thank the San Diego Sockers for helping Soccer's Overtime be possible again, and remind everybody not only about your content, but where you can be found. And I don't mean the corner of Southwest San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. As Southwest as it gets. The most, if you have a Southwesternly podcast, it's more Southwesternly than this, please let me know. I'm very curious. So I can also bring them over to San Diego Football. Tony Sanchez, you can find that. Tony, I guess I found out. Tony at Blue Sky, at San Diego Football, at San Diego Football on Blue Sky. Everything we do, boom, boom. Ahí está, San Diego Football. Craig?
And for myself, you can follow me on Instagram at 619 Sports and Life. You can follow me on Blue Sky at 619 Sports. And right as we went on the air, somebody in our chat named T on Twitter said, Elston, unblock me, loser. I got bad news for you, T. If you watched all the way to the end, I'm not on Twitter anymore, nor X, nor whatever you want to call that platform. I ain't there. So you're blocked forever. It can't, what's done can't be undone.
I love that.
Me too. All right, that's it for the show. Thank you to everybody who joined us live. Thanks to everybody who's watched on replay as well. We appreciate each and every one of you on the way out there. If you haven't given us that thumbs up, click that like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications for San Diego Punto Football. For Tony Sanchez, I'm Craig Elston. We'll see you Sunday on the broadcast. Until then, take care. Have a great rest of your week. And go Sockers.